Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another MathYourDay channel. So in today's video we'll be looking at the quadratic function. The quadratic function, also known as the parabola, right? Also known as the parabola. So the quadratic function is a function that looks something like that, right? Something like this. And this one here is a smiley face, and this is a sad face here, something that looks like that, right? Okay, so a quadratic function basically is represented with a general formula given as ax squared plus bx plus c. So in some other case, they might ask you to express this equation in the form a times x plus p squared plus q. So this is done by completing the square. So again, make sure you know how to complete the square, right? So make sure you know how to complete the square in order for you to change this form here into this one here, right? So when dealing with the quadratic function, they might ask you some properties of the quadratic function. So make sure that you understand these properties. So the first one is to know how to sketch the parabolic graph, right? The second one is to know the domain and the range of this quadratic of a quadratic function. I'm pretty sure by now most of you know what's a domain and the range. And then number 3 is to know the maximum and the minimum values, which is also known as my turning point, right? And then number 4 is to know how to find the missing variables, in this case finding a, b, and c, right? Number 5 is to know the nature of roots. Then number 6 is to find your express my thing, this formula here, in the form a x plus p squared plus q, right? So you have to understand the property of this formula here, right? And then that's it for the quadratic function. I don't think there's anything else that you have to know about the quadratic function. Again, another thing is the concavity of the graph. I mean, this one here is straightforward here, right? But this one, you most likely to encounter this on calculus, right? For the grade 12 on calculus. And yeah, so these are the only things that you need to understand for a quadratic or rather for a parabola, and then know how to use the quadratic equation here, which is given as negative b plus negative the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So this one here is very important. Most people here, they like to make this more complicated, you know. So make sure that you know how to use this equation here and master it very well in order for you to calculate your x-intercept. So in this video we'll be looking at how to sketch the parabolic graph, right? And then of course on more videos we'll be looking at other properties as well, right, in depth. And of course after looking at these properties we will be looking at past papers and more examples in that case, right? So when sketching, there are 3 things that you need to understand. First of all, a parabolic graph is something that looks like this, right? So make sure that all these points here are included in a graph: the x-intercept, right, your y-intercept, and my turning point. So there are 4 things here, right? So here you're most likely to get 4 marks. 1 mark for the shape, your 1 mark for the shape, intercept, turning points, and my y-intercept, right? So make sure that you understand these factors here, and you include them on your sketch, right? When sketching the graph, make sure that you include these properties. So the first thing that you need to know when sketching the parabolic graph is the shape, right? Is my shape a sad face or a happy face, right? And how do I identify whether it's sad and happy? So, well, if my a is greater than 0, then we have a happy face, right? And if my a is less than 0, then I have a sad face. Think about it: negative. When we are negative, well, a negative, something that is negative is something that is bad, right? So now when we are bad, of course, you become sad. So think about it in that case, right? So something that is negative, something that is bad, and when we are bad, become sad. So my graph will look something like that, right? And when I'm positive, I'm happy, right? So when I'm happy, I smile, right? And hence think about this emoji here, right? So make sure that you understand the shape of the function before sketching it, right? So that you will know that whether you're in a correct path or not, right? So that's the first thing there, to understand the shape. Okay, so this is a greater than 0. Then the second thing is to find my x-intercept and my y-intercept. So to find my x-intercept, we can do 2 things, right? We can either factorize. Well, first of all, we need to let my y equal to 0. So in this case, you can see from this equation here, well, this is y. So from this equation here, if y is equal to 0, I will have y here is equal to 0. If I'll have a times x squared plus bx plus c, right? And hence, after this, what will I use? I can either factorize, or I can use the quadratic formula, right? Or I can use the quadratic formula. So in this case here, when you want your y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal to 0, and hence I'll have y is equal to a times 0 squared plus b times 0 plus c. So in this case, that will move, and hence my y is equal to c. So in this case here, we do not have to calculate the y-intercept automatically. If you are given this formula here, then my y-intercept is my c, right? My y-intercept is my c, and hence do not have to calculate my y-intercept. But when dealing with the x-intercept, make sure you know how to factorize, or if not, you can use the quadratic formula, right? Which is this right here. Okay, and then the third thing is to find the turning point, right? The turning point, also known as your maximum and your minimum values, right? So the turning point, to find the turning point, you can use two equations. You can choose from 2 equations. So the first one comes from this equation here. We're gonna take this part here, right? You're gonna take that part there, and then you're gonna say, well, my x in that case will be negative b over 2a. And then after I've gotten my x, I'll take that value there. Let's say it's 2. I'm going to take that value, I'm going to put it into my original equation to find my alternating y value, let's say 4, right? And then I have my my coordinate there of the turning point, right? And then another way of finding the x value of the turning point is to derive, right? Where you're gonna say, well, f prime x is equal to 0, right? And then you'll have 2ax plus b, which is equal to 0. So if you haven't done derivative, you can write this equation here down in the notes. It's very important. You can write this equation in the notes, and yeah, so that's the other way to find your x-intercept. I mean your x value of the turning point, right? And then you are done. You just sketch the graph, right? You just sketch the graph, right? Okay, let us look at an example here. Let's say we have x squared minus 5x minus 6. Okay, so let us identify our a. So our a is what? Our a is 1, because here there's a 1, the coefficient here is 1. The b is negative 5, and my c is negative 6. Okay, now I know these, right? Now I have to identify whether I'm smiling or I'm sad, right? Notice that a is 1, therefore 1 is greater than 0. So if it's positive, meaning I'm sad, I'm happy in that case. So I'll have a happy face. My function will look something like that, right? And then the next thing is to find my x-intercept. Rather, let's find our y-intercept. Remember, my y-intercept is always given when we are given this equation here is negative 6, or you could say let x equal to 0. Therefore, let's say this is y. Therefore, my y will be equal to, if I let x equal to 0, therefore I'll have 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 6. Now if you put this in a calculator, you will get y equal to negative 6. Therefore, this is my y-intercept here. Now to find the x-intercept, remember we said we let our y equal to 0. So if I let y equal to 0, what will I have? I have 0 is equal to x squared minus 5x minus 6. So in this case, we could either use the quadratic formula or we can factorize. So I'm going to use both in this case. Let's first factorize. So we have two brackets here. I'll have x, then I'll have x. So the factors of 6 that will give us negative 5. Let's say you have 3 times 2, and then we have 6 times 1. So these are the only factors of 6. Now 3 plus 2 will give me 5. 6 minus 1 will also give me 5. So now which one of the two should I use? So the first thing that comes to mind is that, okay, here I have a negative 5. So meaning I have to say, well, negative 3 minus 2 will give me that negative 5. Here in this case, I have to say negative 6 plus 1 will give me a negative 5. But here I also have the negative here. So meaning when I times, in this case, if I times these two values there, they should give me negative 6. Now if I times negative 3 times negative 2, it gives me positive 6. Negative 6 times positive 6, it gives me negative 6, meaning I could use these values here. So I mean I can have 6 as a negative there, and here is a positive 1, right? Hoping that you understand, just hoping that you understand what I did there. And then you should say, well, x in this case, this should be equal to 0. Okay, so this should be equal to 0, and then you solve for x, right? X should be equal to 6, or x is equal to negative 1, right? So you could also use the quadratic function the quadratic equation, we're going to say x is equal to negative b plus negative the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Make sure that you're dividing everything by 2a, and here you are in the square root, you're including everything. So I'll have x is equal to, or x is equal to, right? So let us plug this on our calculator here. So remember our a. Okay, let us move up again. Let me just take this one here. Okay, so in this case, we notice that our a, or rather our b, so first of all, you're gonna press this button here. Can you see this button here? So I'm gonna press this button there, then I'm gonna give you something like that. Then I'm gonna say negative. So my b is a negative, so therefore I'll put a negative in the bracket, negative 5. Then I'm gonna start with the positive, then say square root times my b, which is negative 5 there, square, and then minus 4 times a is 1, times my c is negative 6, therefore I can put the negative 6 there, and then divide everything by 2, and then my a is 1, right? So I get a value of 6, which is my value of x, which is positive 6. Then the other value, I'm gonna change the positive there in front of the square root. Here, then put a negative, then you get x equal to negative 1, which is the same as what we got there, right? So you can use either of these two values there. Okay, so now let's talk about our turning point. So remember, our turning point, you could use f prime, or you could use this one here, 2a. So my b, right, my b is negative 5, and my a is 1. Therefore my x value here will be the negative, and the negative give us positive, therefore is 5 over 2. Okay, so if I use f prime x equal to 0, therefore I have 2a, my a is 1, times x. In this case here we have a negative, therefore negative, my b will be 5 equal to 0. So remember this equation here, 2ax plus b, right? In this case my b is negative 5, so hence why I put the negative there. So I'll have 2x, 2 times 1 is 2, I transpose the 5 on that side, divide by 2, therefore my x is equal to 5 over 2, right? So either way is correct. So I think now I'm gonna take this value here, I'm gonna plug it into the original equation. So I will have 2 squared minus 5 times 5, 2, and then minus 6, right? I should get my y value. If my y value should give me, let's say here, so this is 5 divided by 2 squared minus 5 times 5 divided by 2, use a bracket, minus 6, so I'm getting a negative 49 over 4. So negative 49 over 4, which my turning point in this case is 5 over 2 and negative 49 over 4, right? So add a sketch, yeah, oops, okay, there you go. So I have my x-intercept here, my 2 x-intercepts, I have my y and my turning point right there. Therefore my graph is something that looks like that. Here it's negative 1, here is 6, this is -6, and this here is 5/2 and -12.25, I think. Yeah, 25. So this is how you sketch the quadratic function. Make sure to include these arrows here to indicate the domain and the range in that case, or rather the domain of the function, right? The domain of the function, right? So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you find value and you enjoyed. If you like the video, please hit that like button, share the video, and comment down below what you didn't understand or whether I made a mistake somewhere. Please comment down below. So in our next video, we'll be looking at the nature of roots and how to express the original function in that form there, right? In that form. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll catch you later.